May 2025 Crypto Forecast, Bitcoin, XRP, Altcoins and Astrology turning points throughout May 2025. Several major astrological shifts will reshape the financial and crypto landscape. Pluto turning retrograde on May 4 signals deep, behind-the-scenes power shifts, with large players like whales and institutions quietly positioning for major moves. Watch Bitcoin dominance closely for early warnings. Saturn's entry into Aries on May 25 marks the beginning of a new build-from-scratch era, offering significant opportunities to invest early in emerging blockchain technologies, AI, and cross-chain platforms. With Venus and Mars both in fire signs all month, markets are charged with passion, quick profits, and heightened risk, making it a strong environment for momentum trading but risky for holding illiquid assets too long. Meanwhile, the North Node in Pisces indicates a longer-term shift toward visionary, humanitarian themes, suggesting that projects emphasizing decentralization and spiritual values may gain prominence into late 2025 and beyond. The first half of the month is characterized by choppy, confusing conditions where sentiment is easily swayed by emotion, making the trading environment riskier and more unpredictable. During this time, markets may struggle to establish clear trends, and investors are likely to favor defensive, selective strategies, with a particular focus on solid, fundamentally strong assets like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. As the month progresses, a major shift begins to unfold. After May 20th, when the Sun enters Gemini, financial markets pivot toward a much more speculative and opportunistic tone. Expect rapid rallies, sudden sell-offs, and a significant uptick in trading volumes across speculative assets, particularly altcoins, tech stocks, and emerging sectors. Sharp reversals around the May 17 Sun-Uranus conjunction could introduce unexpected market shocks, but also open doors for fast-moving profits for agile traders. Adding to the momentum, the entrance of Saturn into Aries on May 25 signals the start of a major new long-term cycle focused on innovation, rebuilding, and restructuring across the crypto and tech sectors. This is a powerful turning point, hinting at the rise of new regulatory frameworks and a renewed push into blockchain infrastructure and AI integration. Meanwhile, the new moon in Gemini on May 27 encourages the launch of new ideas, technologies, and projects, favoring agile players who are quick to adapt. In May 2025, Bitcoin, XRP, and altcoins will experience a dynamic and shifting market mood. From May 2 to 5, sentiment leans cautiously bullish, though gains could be deceptive. By May 7, 13, the tone turns bearish with extreme volatility and heightened risk of sharp dumps. May 14, 20 brings a volatile period of wild rallies and sudden drops, while May 21, 31 shifts decisively bullish, fueled by innovation and recovery rallies. Bitcoin is likely to whipsaw in early May but could stage a strong rebound after May 20, 25. XRP may lag behind earlier in the month but is expected to catch up with a strong surge following the Gemini new moon on May 27. Altcoins remain highly risky during early May but offer explosive opportunities in late May, particularly for innovative or AI-linked projects. Notably, Saturn's entry into Aries on May 25 marks a major cycle shift, laying slow but powerful groundwork for greater institutional acceptance of crypto through 2025-26, with DeFi 2.0 and real-world asset tokenization themes starting to gain serious momentum. Key planetary transits, May 2025, Sun in Taurus until May 20, 2025. Sun in Taurus tends to stabilize markets, favoring assets like Bitcoin and XRP with strong fundamentals while altcoins may see slower, more selective growth. Taurus emphasizes tangible value, leading investors to favor blue-chip cryptos over speculative ones. Bitcoin may benefit slightly, mildly bullish, while weaker altcoins could underperform. Precious metals like gold and silver could also gain strength as Taurus aligns with physical wealth. The dollar index could soften a bit under this earthy influence, supporting crypto and metals. Full moon in Scorpio, BTC 4th house, May 12, 1755 Universal Time Coordinated. The full moon in Scorpio on May 12, 2025, occurs in Bitcoin's fourth house, which governs foundations, emotional security, and accumulation patterns. This lunation highlights a turning point for sentiment in the crypto markets, one that is emotionally charged, strategic, and possibly intense. Scorpio's influence deepens focus and fuels hidden motives, making this a time when whales and institutional players may act discreetly to reposition. Expect market-moving developments around accumulation, long-term holdings, or protective shifts in strategy. With Pluto sextile the moon, this full moon carries transformative power. This aspect suggests that shifts in sentiment will be strategic rather than reactionary, and may support stealth accumulation or sudden large-scale moves that reflect deeper structural changes. However, Moon square Neptune and Sun square Neptune warn of confusion, misinformation, or illusionary optimism. Traders should be particularly cautious of rumors or misleading headlines, as emotional overreactions could create short-term volatility and bearish fake-outs. On a more stabilizing note, Moon sextile Saturn and Sun trine Saturn offer grounding support, helping markets digest volatility with more structure and resilience. These aspects favor disciplined investors who maintain a long-term perspective, and could bring temporary bullish relief following any emotional dips. Saturn sextile Jupiter reinforces this sense of measured optimism, hinting that macro frameworks, such as global monetary policy or crypto legislation, could become clearer or more constructive, supporting underlying sentiment. That said, the Mars conjunction with the South Node and opposition to the North Node introduces karmic tension. This indicates a potential purge of outdated market behaviors, possibly a shakeout in overleveraged altcoins or sudden liquidation events. Mars here acts impulsively and may trigger volatility, particularly in speculative or emotionally reactive sectors like meme coins or low-cap tokens. Expect increased risk and watch for pullbacks disguised as trend reversals. The Venus trine ascendant adds a bullish undercurrent, promoting confidence and aesthetic appeal in the market. This could benefit popular altcoins with strong narratives or branding, like XRP or trending layer ones. Communication may be tense due to Mercury square Mercury, so misinterpretations or mixed messages from influencers, media, or regulators could fuel short-term uncertainty. Market summary for the Scorpio full moon, Bitcoin, cautiously bullish undercurrents with potential shakeouts. Longer-term players may accumulate amid fear. XRP and altcoins, vulnerable to sudden drops or overreactions, but well-positioned narratives may rally post-full moon. Dollar index, DXY may show strength due to confusion, Neptune aspects, briefly pressuring crypto. Gold and silver, likely to benefit short-term from any risk-off volatility, but Saturn aspects may stabilize trends. Overall influence, mixed to bullish with high emotional charge. Avoid impulsive trades. Focus on accumulation zones and observe institutional behavior during dips. Sun enters Gemini on May 20, 2025. Sun in Gemini shifts the mood dramatically, bringing faster, more speculative trading. Bitcoin and XRP could become more volatile with quick swings, and altcoins might catch bids as traders seek short-term gains. This is neutral to bullish for the crypto market overall but requires agile strategies. The dollar index may experience increased fluctuations, and precious metals could lose some steady upward momentum as market attention turns to faster-moving assets. New Moon in Gemini, BTC 11th House. The new moon in Gemini on May 27, 2025, arrives at 4:02 Universal Time Coordinated and activates Bitcoin's 11th house, the domain of networks, innovation, and collective vision. In financial astrology, a new moon signals a fresh cycle, and Gemini's influence emphasizes fast-paced news, increased trading volume, and strategic communication, a potent recipe for renewed interest in the crypto markets, especially for Bitcoin, XRP, and tech-driven altcoins. The strongest influence comes from Pluto conjunct Mercury, a powerful aspect that often brings intense information, transformative announcements, or market-shifting disclosures. This could coincide with breaking developments in regulation, institutional partnerships, or technology upgrades, especially those tied to decentralization or governance structures. With Pluto also sextile the Moon, deep emotional and psychological resonance follows these developments, favoring bold accumulation or strategic positioning by whales and institutional investors. Supporting the bullish tone, Mercury trine Mercury enhances cohesive communication and trader alignment, allowing for clearer sentiment expression across social media and trading platforms. This favors speculative optimism, particularly in community-driven altcoins or platforms tied to smart contracts and AI narratives. Saturn sextile Jupiter adds a sense of structural balance to this enthusiasm, helping long-term investors feel more confident about market sustainability, signaling moderate to bullish conditions with a foundation for gradual growth. However, the Neptune square Pluto adds a subtle layer of distrust or distortion behind the scenes. While the major moves may appear optimistic, not all narratives should be taken at face value. Some may be intentionally misleading or idealized. Similarly, Saturn square Lilith speaks to hidden power struggles or unspoken manipulation, particularly from regulatory actors or large market players. Traders should remain vigilant for quiet pullbacks or staged volatility amid the broader bullish mood. Mars trine the midheaven supports decisive action in the public sphere, likely showing up as high-visibility endorsements, bold moves by exchanges, or strong price action in BTC and XRP. Yet Mars opposition Chiron warns that some of this movement may reopen old wounds, potentially tied to past losses, legal battles, or unresolved fear among retail traders. Market summary: Bitcoin, strong potential for bullish continuation, especially if news around integration, partnerships, or network strength emerges. XRP and altcoins, optimism returns, altcoin rotation likely, especially in tech and AI sectors. Watch for fake-outs in lower-cap coins due to Neptune distortions. Dollar index, DXY could weaken slightly as crypto sentiment improves, but Neptune-Pluto may keep underlying economic uncertainty in the background. Gold and silver may stagnate or pull back as risk appetite returns to crypto, only rallying if fear re-enters due to false narratives or manipulation. Overall influence, moderately bullish with caution flags. This new moon marks the beginning of a fresh narrative cycle, with innovation and communication leading the way. Favor quality assets with clear use cases and strong communities, while staying alert to potential misinformation or staged hype. Mercury in Aries until May 10, 2025. Mercury in Aries favors quick decision-making and aggressive communication, which can amplify bullish sentiment for Bitcoin and leading cryptos, though it may also increase risk-taking. Altcoins could see sharp rallies or sharp dumps depending on sentiment swings. The dollar index could show strength as traders take bold positions, while precious metals may remain neutral to slightly bearish under this fast-moving energy. Mercury in Taurus from May 10 to May 26, 2025. Mercury in Taurus slows down the pace, favoring careful, value-based decision-making. Bitcoin and XRP could consolidate gains made earlier, while altcoins might struggle unless they show solid fundamental reasons for holding value. This is mildly bearish to neutral for altcoins, slightly bullish for Bitcoin and XRP. The dollar index might stabilize, and precious metals could quietly strengthen as investors seek real-world security. Mercury enters Gemini May 26, 2025. Mercury in Gemini brings a return to fast-paced, news-driven markets. Bitcoin, XRP, and altcoins could all see increased volatility with strong interest in new narratives, speculative plays, and meme coins. This is a bullish setup for altcoins and generally positive for Bitcoin and XRP if sentiment stays risk-on. However, rapid reversals are possible. The dollar index may become choppy, and precious metals could weaken slightly as speculative appetite grows. Venus in Aries, all May. Direct motion Venus in Aries brings a fast-paced, aggressive attitude to financial markets, encouraging bold risk-taking and quick reactions. For Bitcoin, XRP, and altcoins, this is a mildly bullish influence, supporting short-term rallies, emotional buying, and impulsive trend following. Retail traders tend to chase pumps under this transit. However, the dollar index, DXY, could also experience brief strength, safe haven buying, while precious metals like gold and silver might face some outflows as investors favor more volatile assets during this period. Mars in Leo, all May. Direct motion Mars in Leo amplifies pride, drama, and big moves. It favors high-visibility assets and charismatic narratives. Bitcoin and leading altcoins, especially meme and culture coins, can see bullish, high-energy surges under this influence, with sudden rallies driven by FOMO and public attention. XRP could benefit if legal regulatory victories are dramatized. DXY could wobble, especially if a risk-on sentiment rises, while gold and silver might perform neutrally or see slight pullbacks as riskier assets dominate. Jupiter in Gemini, all May. Direct motion Jupiter in Gemini expands news, narratives, and information flow, favoring volatile, headline-driven markets. This is bullish for altcoins, especially low to mid-cap projects that can ride waves of hype and rapid communication. Bitcoin could be more range-bound if attention spreads thinly across smaller assets. XRP's market could become highly rumor-sensitive. DXY often shows weakness under Jupiter in air signs, while precious metals could react strongly to any inflationary or dollar-weakening news amplified by Jupiter's influence. Saturn in Pisces until May 25, 2025, bearish to neutral for Bitcoin, XRP, altcoins, bullish for dollar index, defensive for precious metals. From now until May 24, 2025, Saturn remains in Pisces, creating a generally bearish to neutral tone for Bitcoin, XRP, and altcoins, while supporting a slightly bullish environment for the dollar index and defensive gains for precious metals. Saturn in Pisces brings an atmosphere of uncertainty, dissolving old structures and encouraging hidden fears to surface. Markets tend to drift, dip, or react with volatility without strong directional conviction. Bitcoin often struggles for stability during this phase, with choppy or sideways price action. XRP is highly sensitive to regulatory developments, making it vulnerable to sudden news events, while speculative appetite for altcoins weakens, causing many smaller projects to underperform. Meanwhile, the dollar index strengthens modestly as investors seek safer currency positions, and gold and silver show cautious, rather than explosive, rallies. Saturn enters Aries, May 25, 2025, bullish shift for Bitcoin, XRP, altcoins, cautious to bearish for dollar index, bullish for precious metals. A major shift occurs when Saturn enters Aries on May 25, 2025. Aries energy demands action, courage, and fresh starts, marking a bullish turn for Bitcoin, XRP, and altcoins, while bringing a more cautious to bearish outlook for the dollar index and renewed bullishness for precious metals. Bitcoin is likely to display a stronger breakout mentality, aiming for new trends, while XRP could lead if legal clarity improves, aligning with Aries' preference for fighters and pioneers. Altcoins will begin to selectively rally, strong, innovative projects are favored, while weaker ones will likely collapse as the market becomes more discerning. Precious metals benefit too, as investors seek tangible assets in an environment demanding security and real-world value. Looking ahead into late 2025 and early 2026, the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, exact on February 20, 2026, at 0 degrees Aries, signals a transformational period, comparable to the Saturn-Pluto conjunction of 2020. This powerful merger between structure, Saturn, and dreams or illusions, Neptune, in the bold, initiating sign of Aries will spark massive systemic changes. Bitcoin is expected to experience wild volatility leading up to this event but ultimately sets up for a long-term bullish phase as traditional financial structures lose credibility. XRP could benefit from global payment reforms but will remain sensitive to regulation. Most altcoins will not survive the shakeout, but the few that do could become the next cycle's giants, similar to the post-dot-com era survivors. The dollar index is expected to be unstable, initially spiking on fear but ultimately weakening as trust in fiat currencies erodes. Precious metals and Bitcoin alike will likely thrive as hard assets regain favor. In short, The trading roadmap for 2025 into 2026 calls for cautious defensive positioning until May 24th under Saturn in Pisces, followed by strategic, bold positioning into emerging strength after May 25th as Saturn enters Aries. The extreme volatility accompanying the Saturn-Neptune conjunction in early 2026 requires survival-minded strategies. Trade lightly, watch for fakeouts, and prepare for a new long-term bullish era favoring Bitcoin, XRP, and a select few altcoins. Chiron in Aries. All May Chiron in Aries highlights wounds around identity, leadership, and self-assertion, making the market highly sensitive to emotional blows, e.g., hacks, regulatory attacks, or public losses. For Bitcoin, XRP, and altcoins, this is a neutral to bearish undercurrent. Vulnerability to sudden fear spikes or collective market traumas is elevated. DXY tends to react less to Chiron, but gold and silver could act as emotional insurance assets if markets show sudden stress. Uranus in Taurus. All May Uranus in Taurus represents ongoing disruption to traditional finance, banking, and monetary systems. It continues to be a bullish background driver for Bitcoin and XRP, especially as anti-establishment assets, but its effect can be volatile, producing shocking news or unexpected trend reversals. Altcoins could benefit if DeFi, stablecoin innovation, or payment systems get unexpected boosts. DXY could see destabilization events. Gold and silver remain supported as tangible assets during financial system uncertainty. Neptune in Aries. All May Neptune in Aries is a new, slow-moving trend that spiritualizes action, leadership, and innovation, but also brings illusions of invincibility. For Bitcoin, XRP, and altcoins, this introduces a neutral to bullish tone. Idealistic new projects may launch, and collective enthusiasm could rise, but so could scams or overhyped ventures. DXY is generally less sensitive to Neptune unless collective confidence crumbles. Precious metals could benefit slightly if inflation narratives are highlighted under Neptune's fog. North Node in Pisces. All May the North Node in Pisces calls collective destiny toward compassion, spirituality, and dissolution of rigid structures. Financially, it can blur rational judgment and elevate emotional trading. For Bitcoin, XRP, and altcoins, this is a neutral to slightly bullish influence, favoring projects tied to saving the world, humanitarian causes, or spiritual branding. The DXY could weaken subtly as materialistic attachment loosens globally. Gold and silver may benefit from safe haven sentiment cloaked in idealism. Pluto in Aquarius retrograde, May 4, 2025. Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, beginning May 4, 2025, signals a deep internal audit of technology, finance, decentralization, and governance structures. Aquarius themes like blockchain, AI, Web3, digital identity, and decentralized finance come under intense cosmic review. Retrograde phases slow momentum, trigger corrections, and surface hidden power struggles, creating an environment of recalibration rather than expansion. Institutions, whales, and regulators may act subtly to reposition themselves for longer-term shifts, rather than making bold, public moves. For Bitcoin, the retrograde suggests turbulence as dominant narratives face challenges. Early May could see cautious optimism, but uncertainty is likely to deepen as the month progresses. Bitcoin's trend bias leans neutral to slightly bearish, with bursts of volatility. Sovereignty narratives, be your own bank, may resurface, but face increased pushback from centralized authorities. XRP, caught between old and new financial systems, may experience consolidation or underperformance unless major catalysts break through. Regulatory or settlement delays could dominate headlines, making XRP's trend cautious and defensive. Altcoins are especially vulnerable. Lower quality projects without strong communities, real-world use cases, or regulatory clarity could collapse. Meme coins and microcaps are at particularly high risk during this phase, while decentralized, utility-driven projects could fare better. Meanwhile, the dollar index, DXY, may face renewed weakness as Pluto retrograde tends to erode trust in centralized systems, especially if banking or tech sector instability surfaces. In contrast, precious metals like gold and silver are likely to benefit, attracting safe haven flows as investors seek stability during structural uncertainty. Trust in hard assets strengthens whenever Pluto exposes cracks in the financial system. Trading strategy during Pluto Retrograde 2025 focuses on survival, strategic review, and risk management. Traders should prioritize high-quality assets with strong fundamentals, maintain defensive positioning, and avoid chasing hype-driven coins. Cash reserves and partial profit-taking strategies are crucial. Hedging exposure with precious metals can be wise as DXY weakness unfolds. Leverage should be minimized, and any apparent breakouts should be confirmed with volume and fundamental support. Pluto retrograde is notorious for creating deceptive market moves. The core mantra for this period: survive first, thrive later. Use this time to review, consolidate, and prepare for the major structural shifts that will unfold once Pluto moves direct again on October 14, 2025. Lunar Trading Calendar, May 1st, 2025, Moon in Cancer. This period is neutral to bearish overall, with an emotional, cautious, and reactive tone dominating the markets. The Moon in Cancer heightens fear and defensive instincts among traders, pushing the market toward a risk-off environment. People will likely prefer security over speculation, especially with the Moon traveling through Bitcoin's 11th and 12th houses, sectors linked to collective sentiment, hopes, and hidden fears. The Venus-Neptune conjunction on May 2, BTC 9th house, can create short-lived optimism based on ideals or dreamy narratives around Bitcoin, XRP, or tech-oriented altcoins. This transit creates dreamy, highly speculative energy around Bitcoin, with the 9th house highlighting optimism and global perspectives. Sentiment could become unrealistically euphoric, driven by hope, fantasies, and exaggerated narratives. However, promises may be overstated, making it a time when, buy the rumor, sell the news. It can happen fast. Watch for volatility around NFP news. Short-term, bullish but risky, potential reversal after spike. Additionally, Jupiter square Bitcoin's natal Saturn on May 2 signals tension between expansion hopes and the reality of structural resistance, particularly for Bitcoin. It suggests overconfidence could be punished, especially if bullish narratives around crypto or tech markets are based on shaky ground. Illusions are likely to be exposed quickly, especially with Venus squaring Pluto on May 3, revealing manipulations, scandals, or behind-the-scenes sell-offs. Traders could fall for too good to be true news and then face abrupt reality checks. The Mercury conjunction to the MC and opposition to IC on May 3 spotlights big announcements or media headlines about Bitcoin's public image, but this is more about reputation management than price surge potential. Communications could be confusing or polarizing. Market sentiment score, 38-100, fear defensive mode. Between May 1, markets enter a vulnerable period, especially around May 2, as the Venus-Pluto square and Mercury's aspect to the MC trigger hidden selling pressure and emotional reactivity under the Cancer moon. Traders should expect stop-loss hunts, whipsaws, and sharp corrections. However, these emotional overreactions could create buy-the-dip opportunities, particularly if Bitcoin or major altcoins like XRP sell off sharply on bad news. Accumulating strong, narrative-driven coins after these fleshouts could offer good medium-term setups. During this window, fear dominates market sentiment, with a brief spike in greed or FOMO around May 2 that is likely to reverse hard by May 3. It's generally not an ideal time to open new long positions. Defensive, small buys during panic dips are more favorable for medium to long-term investors, while short-term traders should remain cautious as strong support levels could be tested. Speculative low-cap altcoins should be avoided due to their vulnerability to sharper crashes under fear-driven pressure. Meanwhile, gold and silver may benefit from safe haven flows, gaining slightly after May 2, while the DXY dollar index could show minor strength amid defensive liquidity movements, though without signaling a major trend reversal. May 3, 2025, Moon in Leo. This period is neutral to mildly bullish. The Moon in Leo increases confidence and desire for visibility, and the first quarter Moon in Leo, May 4, aligns with heightened emotions and action-oriented energy, especially for retail traders and investors looking to make their mark. The Sun trine Bitcoin's natal Sun aspect, May 3, could provide a sense of clarity and forward movement, boosting optimism, while Mercury sextile Jupiter, May 5, fosters more confident and expansive thinking about the future, helping crypto enthusiasts take a more optimistic view of the market. However, Pluto Retrograde in Aquarius, BTC 6th house, suggests that the markets might be in the process of re-evaluating structural weaknesses or overdue corrections. Pluto turning retrograde shifts the market tone toward caution and behind-the-scenes restructuring. In Bitcoin's 6th house, this indicates deeper systemic reviews, miners, validators, tech upgrades, but also hidden pressures on the network's ecosystem health. Overall, there's potential for slowdowns and exposure of vulnerabilities. Trend, bearish to neutral, slow bleed risk if support levels crack. Market sentiment score, 55-100, neutral to mildly bullish. The period of May 4, 5 may bring volatile dips around the first quarter moon, as market participants reassess their positions. Pluto retrograde in Bitcoin's 6th house also signals unexpected shifts in market cycles, with altcoins and smaller coins particularly at risk of correction. However, this volatility could offer short-term buying opportunities, especially during the first quarter moon on May 4, when a dip in the altcoin market could provide a chance to accumulate assets like XRP and Bitcoin for medium-term growth. Moderate greed is likely around May 3, 4, driven by short-term bullish sentiment and a general risk-on attitude, though caution could re-emerge as Pluto retrograde deepens post-May 4. For those seeking medium to long-term positions, May 4 represents a favorable moment to buy the dip, while short-term traders should prepare for heightened volatility. Meanwhile, gold and silver may continue to attract safe haven flows if global risk sentiment remains fragile, and the DXY could stabilize or trend slightly upward as traders seek safety. Overall, this period is a mixed bag, and careful monitoring of price action around May 4 is crucial, as short-term pullbacks could create valuable entry points for patient and risk-tolerant investors. May 5, 2025, Moon in Virgo. The market sentiment during this period is neutral to mildly bearish, with some potential for moderate volatility. The Moon in Virgo, May 5, brings a focus on pragmatism and precision, favoring caution and conservative actions in the markets. The Moon in House 2, BTC's 2nd house, suggests a focus on financial stability and material security, potentially leading to a more risk-averse approach from investors. The Mercury sextile Neptune aspect, May 5, may cloud decision-making with illusions or unrealistic expectations, potentially creating indecision or hesitation in the market. With the Moon conjunct Saturn, May 7, there is a likely sense of emotional constraint or financial caution, indicating that both retail and institutional investors may choose to wait and reassess, resulting in a more cautious mood. Venus sextile Pluto, May 6, might encourage longer-term investors to make opportunistic moves, particularly in stable assets, but short-term traders could be more wary. Market sentiment score, 47-100, neutral to mildly bearish. FOMC rate decision and press conference, May 7, 2025, 6 p.m. Universal Time coordinated. The FOMC rate decision on May 7 will be a key event in shaping the market sentiment. Given the Mercury-Chiron conjunction, May 7, there may be a heightened sense of nervousness or vulnerability around the decision, especially if the Fed hints at tightening or changes in monetary policy. Large traders and institutional investors will likely be focused on the potential for more hawkish moves, which could lead to a risk-off attitude in the markets, affecting Bitcoin and altcoins. The FOMC press conference might reveal a more cautious stance from regulators, especially if inflation concerns persist. If the Fed signals continued vigilance on inflation, we might see increased volatility and sell-offs across the crypto market, especially in more speculative altcoins. May 7th presents potential for a crypto market pullback or consolidation, as the moon conjunct Bitcoin's natal Saturn creates a restrictive, cautious atmosphere where traders prioritize risk management over bold moves. The moon's transit through Virgo further supports a defensive, correction-focused mood, favoring lower volatility and reduced speculative behavior. While this is primarily a consolidation phase rather than a strongly bullish one, dip buying opportunities may emerge if caution leads to short-term market weakness, especially with Pluto's stabilizing influence helping to form support levels. On May 7th, Mercury conjuncts Chiron and Aries in Bitcoin's 10th house, coinciding with the FOMC rate decision, creating a highly sensitive and volatile atmosphere. This alignment suggests wounded communication and emotional reactions, particularly affecting Bitcoin's public image and reputation. Traders may become nervous and defensive, especially if the Fed signals concerns about market overheating or hints at tighter policies, which would increase uncertainty. Miscommunication risks are elevated, amplifying the potential for sharp market reactions. Large traders may seek safety by rotating into more stable assets or reducing exposure to riskier altcoins, while smaller traders could become fearful, hesitant to enter new positions. A bearish bias is likely to dominate around the FOMC announcement unless the tone is surprisingly dovish. Overall, this period demands extreme caution, as exposed vulnerabilities and regulatory fears could fuel risk-off sentiment, making it a challenging environment for crypto and particularly for Bitcoin's public perception. Fear and caution are likely to dominate, though brief pockets of moderate greed may arise due to positive Venus aspects, offering some longer-term opportunities particularly in Bitcoin and XRP. It could be a good time to consider taking profits or trimming positions if signs of flattening or hesitation appear, but long-term holders may find attractive dip buying setups between May 7th, 8th, especially in fundamentally strong altcoins. Meanwhile, gold and silver are expected to retain strength as safe haven assets, and the DXY could continue its upward trend, as cautious traders seek refuge in the dollar, potentially applying downward pressure on crypto sentiment. May 8th, 2025, Moon in Libra. The market sentiment during this period is neutral to mildly bearish, with some underlying tension and volatility as key transits unfold. The Moon in Libra, May 8th, will influence market participants to seek balance, leading to a period of indecision and cautious optimism. With the Moon in House 3, BTC's third house, there may be an increased focus on communication, news, and market sentiment through media channels, affecting short-term price action. The Moon conjunct Bitcoin's IC, May 9th, might trigger a moment of introspection or pause, potentially leading to temporary market slowdowns as traders take stock of the current landscape. On May 9th, Mars in Leo forms a sesquisquare to the North Node, activating Bitcoin's 1st and 10th houses, and introducing a period of tension and friction. This aspect suggests a clash between Bitcoin's core identity and external pressures related to its public standing, creating a sideways to slightly bearish tone. Traders may experience a subtle pullback or correction as bullish enthusiasm meets resistance from regulatory narratives or broader market skepticism. Although the sesquisquare is more irritating than catastrophic, it can temporarily weigh on optimism, prompting cautious or defensive behavior in the crypto markets. Mercury's square to Jupiter, May 10th, brings possible overconfidence or overly optimistic moves, which could lead to a short-term correction in altcoins, particularly those that are highly speculative. Market sentiment score, 52-100, neutral to mildly bearish. May 9th, marks a vulnerable period as the Mars North Node sesquisquare and Moon conjunct IC combine to create uncertainty, emotional indecision, and the potential for market reversals, leading to hesitation or sell-offs. The Mercury square Jupiter aspect on May 10th could further exacerbate volatility, fueling irrational exuberance and excessive risk-taking, setting the stage for a possible pullback. While this presents risks, it also opens buy-the-dip opportunities if Bitcoin, XRP, or other strong cryptocurrencies experience corrections below key support levels. Risk-off sentiment will likely dominate on May 9th due to the emotional tension from the Moon and Mars aspects, but a brief wave of greed and overconfidence may surge on May 10 under Mercury-Jupiter's influence, encouraging speculative behavior before a probable reversal. It may be a good time to sell or trim positions, especially in overheated altcoins, while medium to long-term investors could find attractive entry points if significant dips occur. Gold and silver are expected to maintain strength as safe haven assets, while the DXY may continue to show resilience amid weakening risk appetite, putting additional pressure on speculative crypto assets. May 10, 2025, Moon in Scorpio, full moon May 12. As the moon moves through Scorpio, market sentiment is expected to lean bearish to neutral, with heightened volatility around the full moon on May 12. The moon's transit through Bitcoin's fourth house signals a period of emotional intensity, deep market reassessments, and potential structural shifts, particularly impacting altcoins. Scorpio's influence tends to expose hidden issues or ignite power struggles, which could trigger sudden corrections or sentiment reversals. Meanwhile, Mercury's shift into Taurus on May 10 brings a more stabilizing influence, encouraging practical, grounded discussions about Bitcoin's future and shifting the focus toward hard assets, value, and security over speculative hype, creating a neutral to mildly bullish backdrop based on fundamentals rather than momentum. On May 12, the full moon in Scorpio highlights themes of trust, foundations, and emotional vulnerability, raising concerns around Bitcoin's custodianship, security, and large holders, increasing the risk of emotional selling. Adding to the tension, Mercury squares Pluto on May 12, a highly challenging aspect that suggests manipulative forces or hidden agendas could disrupt Bitcoin's service sector, including miners, validators, and infrastructure providers, sparking bearish, volatile moves. Traders should stay alert for sudden, manipulative price swings and false breakouts. Finally, the Sun's square to Neptune on May 13 may further cloud judgment, making it difficult to distinguish between solid opportunities and speculative traps, and adding to the overall sense of confusion and uncertainty across the market. Market sentiment score, 45-100, bearish to neutral. The full moon in Scorpio on May 12 marks a vulnerable period, often associated with emotional extremes and potential market turning points, where traders could experience significant price pullbacks or heightened volatility. The Mercury square Pluto aspect on the same day adds to the tension, increasing the chances of sharp corrections as market participants react to news or sentiment shifts, potentially triggering sell-offs or asset revaluations. If the market corrects after the full moon or under the intense Mercury-Pluto dynamic, it could present us by the dip opportunity, particularly in Bitcoin or XRP if they drop below key support levels. Overall, risk-off sentiment is likely to dominate, as the Scorpio moon and Mercury-Pluto square encourage caution and a retreat from speculative altcoins. Fear could spike, with emotional selling possible, especially following unexpected developments that shake market confidence. It may be wise to sell or trim positions in speculative altcoins if they rally leading into the full moon, while medium to long-term investors could watch for fear-driven corrections to buy quality assets like Bitcoin and XRP. During this period, gold and silver may attract safe haven demand, and the DXY dollar index could maintain strength, putting additional pressure on crypto markets. May 13, 2025, Moon in Sagittarius. The market sentiment during this period is neutral to mildly bullish, with an increased risk-on atmosphere following the moon's entrance into Sagittarius. The Sagittarius moon encourages optimism, expansion, and exploration, particularly in speculative assets like altcoins and XRP. However, the presence of the Mercury opposition Lilith on May 13 and the Jupiter square North Node aspect on May 15 may introduce moments of tension and uncertainty, likely creating volatility in the market. The Mercury trine Mars on May 13 is a more positive influence, boosting market momentum and communication, potentially driving Bitcoin and altcoins higher. Risk-on sentiment is likely, with traders willing to take more risks, but the Mercury square ascendant aspect on May 15 may create moments of doubt, making it a volatile time to make decisions. Market sentiment score, 60-100, neutral to mildly bullish. The Mercury opposition Lilith on May 13 could introduce unexpected market disruptions or reveal hidden tensions, particularly impacting XRP and altcoins, while the Jupiter square North node on May 15 may trigger a clash between current growth strategies and long-term goals, leading to potential market pullbacks or corrections. Buy the dip opportunities may arise if corrections follow sudden price surges, with Bitcoin and altcoins likely to dip after bursts of enthusiasm, especially around May 15 when market indecision peaks. Overall, a risk-on mood is likely as the moon in Sagittarius encourages optimism and risk-taking, particularly in the altcoin markets, though the Mercury square Bitcoin's ascendant later in the period may bring hesitation and second-guessing among traders. Heightened greed could fuel speculative plays, especially involving XRP and altcoins, making it a good time to consider buying Bitcoin or altcoins during brief pullbacks. However, if significant rallies occur, it would be wise to sell or take profits on speculative assets. Meanwhile, gold and silver could face pressure as investors shift away from safe havens, and the DXY may experience slight weakness, further supporting Bitcoin and altcoin prices. May 15, 18, 2025, Moon in Capricorn. From May 15, 18, 2025, market sentiment is expected to be bearish to neutral as the Moon moves through Capricorn and forms conjunctions with Bitcoin's natal Pluto, Mars, and Sunday. These aspects often bring intense, disruptive energy, suggesting market corrections could occur as emotions run high. The Moon in Capricorn typically encourages a more pragmatic, cautious mood, favoring long-term strategies but leading to short-term hesitation. Traders should watch for a potential buy-the-dip opportunity following the Moon conjunct Pluto on May 15, which could trigger brief price drops before rebounds. On May 17, the Sun conjunct Uranus in Bitcoin's 10th house adds a wild card element. This conjunction may bring sudden, shocking news related to Bitcoin's public image, adoption, or institutional partnerships. Extreme price swings are likely. A positive surprise could fuel a bullish breakout, while disruptive news could trigger a sharp sell-off. Traders are advised to remain agile and avoid overleveraging, as the market could swing rapidly in either direction. May 18 brings Mercury in Taurus square Mars in Leo, a tense aspect between Bitcoin's 10th and 1st houses. This configuration suggests the potential for impulsive trading behavior triggered by aggressive rumors or sharp words. Short-term bearishness is likely as impatience and ego-driven mistakes affect market decisions. Day traders might find opportunities in the increased volatility, but spot holders and long-term investors should exercise caution. Market sentiment score, 45-100, bearish to neutral. Fear and greed behavior will be mixed. Capricorn's influence encourages a risk-off sentiment, leading investors to seek safer assets and causing declines in speculative altcoins. However, the excitement of the Sun-Uranus conjunction could temporarily spark greed, especially among altcoin traders chasing quick gains. Gold and silver are likely to see increased demand as risk aversion grows, and the DXY US dollar index may strengthen, reflecting the cautious mood as investors seek safety amid market volatility. May 18, 2025, Moon in Aquarius. From May 18, 2025, market sentiment is expected to be neutral to slightly bullish as the Moon moves through Aquarius. This brings a more intellectual and detached approach to trading, encouraging long-term strategies over impulsive decisions. The Moon's conjunctions with Bitcoin's natal Mercury, May 18, and North Node, May 19, suggest moments of clarity and insight, favoring Bitcoin and altcoin traders who stay focused on larger trends. However, caution is needed around May 19, when the Moon conjuncts Neptune, increasing the potential for confusion and misleading signals in the market. Adding to the complexity, Mars in Leo forms a sesquisquare to Saturn at 29 degrees Pisces on May 19. This creates grinding, frustrating energy where momentum stalls. Mars wants fast action, but Saturn at a critical anaretic degree resists movement, especially impacting Bitcoin through themes of global regulation or legal matters, 9th house issues. Traders could experience neutral to bearish trends during this time, with obstacles feeling heavier and harder to overcome. If a pullback occurs, particularly in Bitcoin and XRP, it may present buy-the-dip opportunities for longer-term investors. Market sentiment score, 55-100, neutral to slightly bullish. Vulnerable periods during this window include May 19th, when the Moon conjunct Neptune could cause unpredictable movements, particularly in altcoins. The Mars-Saturn friction could also create frustrating and choppy price action, complicating short-term trades. In terms of risk behavior, the Moon in Aquarius combined with the Jupiter-Chiron sextile, May 18th, may promote a risk-on sentiment as traders seek out growth opportunities, especially in altcoins. However, the Mars-Saturn tension may intermittently trigger risk-off behavior, particularly among short-term traders facing uncertainty and obstacles. As for trading strategy, this could be a good time to buy Bitcoin or XRP if a dip occurs around May 19th, especially after the Moon conjunct Neptune. Conversely, short-term traders might consider selling or locking in profits ahead of the last quarter moon on May 20th, as lunar cycle transitions often signal a period of closure or reduced momentum. Gold and silver could see modest interest as safe haven assets when risk-off moments arise, though large movements are unlikely. Meanwhile, the DXY US dollar index may strengthen slightly during periods of market confusion, as traders seek security in the dollar. May 20th, 2025, Moon in Pisces. The market sentiment during this period is neutral, with a blend of emotional sensitivity and potential volatile fluctuations. The Moon in Pisces tends to create a more intuitive and fluid environment, but also brings a degree of uncertainty that may lead to erratic market movements, particularly in altcoins. The Sun's entry into Gemini, May 20th, BTC 11th house, may shift focus toward communication and information-driven trading, increasing speculative behavior. The Sun in Gemini energy shifts attention to networks, technology, community, and social platforms. For Bitcoin, this means more chatter, partnerships, and community-driven initiatives. Trading volumes might pick up. News flow becomes faster. Trend, neutral to bullish, stronger communication, lighter mood. Market sentiment score, 5100, neutral. Between May 20th, 22, market sentiment could become highly unpredictable, with several vulnerable periods to watch. The Moon conjunct Venus on May 20th may offer a short-term buy-the-dip opportunity, particularly for altcoins and XRP, as emotional and value-driven decisions favor growth. However, the Moon conjunct Uranus on May 21st could spark sudden, volatile price movements in Bitcoin and altcoins, making it risky to trade impulsively. Mercury squaring Neptune on May 22nd adds further confusion, clouding judgment and market analysis, especially for XRP and speculative assets. While the Moon in Pisces may encourage a risk-on attitude fueled by emotion and intuition, it also risks overestimating price movements, making caution critical. Risk-off behavior could dominate during sudden volatility, particularly in Bitcoin. Traders might consider buying dips after emotional corrections, especially around May 20th and May 22nd, while selling before May 21's Moon-Uranus conjunction could protect profits. Gold and silver may attract more interest as safe haven assets during this period of emotional uncertainty, and the DXY could experience fluctuations as the Sun enters Gemini, increasing sensitivity to global communications and geopolitical shifts. May 22nd, 2025, and Moon in Aries. Between May 22nd, 2025, market sentiment is expected to lean bullish, energized by the Moon's entry into Aries. Aries energy brings a surge of enthusiasm, drive, and impulsivity, encouraging risk-on behavior across Bitcoin, XRP, and altcoins. Traders may feel more aggressive and eager to take positions, especially as the Moon conjuncts Bitcoin's midheaven, MC, on May 23rd, aligning market sentiment with public image and broader trends. This could drive noticeable upward momentum, although sharp emotional reactions could cause quick fluctuations. However, caution is needed. The Mars sesquisquare Neptune aspect on May 23rd may introduce confusion and misplaced optimism. Mars's assertiveness is weakened by Neptune's fog, creating conditions where traders could make impulsive or emotionally charged decisions based on hype rather than clear information. This tension may cause brief dips or neutral to bearish corrections, particularly in altcoins and smaller speculative tokens. It's a time when risk management becomes crucial, as expectations could be overly optimistic. Market sentiment score, 7100, bullish. For those looking to buy, dips around May 23, especially following the moon's conjunction with Bitcoin's midheaven, could offer solid entry points, particularly for longer-term Bitcoin and XRP holdings. The bullish sentiment overall supports upward trends, but profit-taking after a strong surge might be wise, given the potential for temporary pullbacks. The moon in Aries fosters a generally risk-on environment, but the foggy influence of Mars-Neptune means a balance between boldness and caution is key. Meanwhile, gold and silver may consolidate during this period as traders shift focus toward cryptocurrencies during the bullish phase. The DXY could experience minor weakness if risk assets continue to rally. However, Mercury sextile North Node during this time supports strategic communication and could stabilize broader global markets, reinforcing the importance of clear, forward-thinking moves. May 24, 26, 2025, Moon in Taurus. From May 24, 26, 2025, market sentiment for Bitcoin, XRP, and altcoins is expected to be neutral to slightly bullish, with a focus on stability and slow accumulation. The moon's entry into Taurus brings a calming influence, encouraging consolidation over high volatility. Traders are likely to prioritize steadier strategies, favoring accumulation during this phase. However, the Mercury-Uranus conjunction on May 24 signals a potential for sudden news events, possibly sparking quick price spikes or drops. This volatility could present buy-the-dip opportunities, especially for longer-term investors who maintain confidence in strong fundamentals. Saturn's entrance into Aries on May 25 marks a significant shift in market energy. As Saturn moves into Bitcoin's ninth house, international regulatory frameworks could tighten, creating initial caution among traders. Although the immediate reaction may be bearish to neutral, it sets the stage for a more action-driven and structured crypto environment in the longer term. Positively, the Mercury trine Jupiter and Sun sextile moon aspects on May 25 support selective optimism, favoring measured buying particularly in Bitcoin, XRP, and leading altcoins. On May 26, Mercury enters Gemini, boosting communication speed and media activity around Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. This quickened pace favors momentum-driven trades and could benefit short-term traders. However, caution is advised as Mercury squares Venus the same day, potentially triggering emotional overreactions or misleading narratives. Traders should be especially careful during this period to avoid impulsive decisions. Market sentiment score, 65-100, neutral to mildly bullish. Overall, the period offers good opportunities to accumulate crypto assets during any sharp, news-driven dips, especially around May 24, 25. Selling is less ideal unless an unexpected rally sharply extends prices after the Mercury-Uranus event. Meanwhile, gold and silver might see mild pullbacks as risk appetite shifts slightly toward crypto, and although the DXY could come under some pressure short-term, Saturn's move into Aries hints at longer-term dollar strengthening. May 26, 28, 2025, Moon in Gemini. From May 26, 28, 2025, market sentiment for Bitcoin, XRP, and altcoins is expected to be strongly bullish and optimistic, energized by the new moon in Gemini on May 27. This lunation signals fresh starts, new strategies, and renewed interest from traders. With the moon in Gemini activating Bitcoin's 11th house, the focus shifts toward innovation, networking, and speculative investments, an ideal environment for tech-driven altcoins and decentralized projects to thrive. Strong Mercury aspects, including Mercury sextile Neptune, Mercury trine Pluto, and Mercury trine Mercury, enhance intuition, strategic communication, and transformative market moves, reinforcing a risk-on atmosphere. The Mercury-Pluto trine, in particular, suggests powerful institutional positioning or large capital inflows could quietly begin taking shape. The new moon offers a clean slate for the crypto space, favoring announcements tied to upgrades, new protocols, or blockchain technology innovations. Market sentiment should feel refreshed after early May's volatility, setting the stage for a broader bullish narrative. However, late on May 27, the Sun quincunx Lilith warns of hidden power dynamics or manipulative tactics potentially surfacing. Traders should remain cautious during this window, as sudden misinformation or emotional triggers could briefly shake intraday market stability. Market sentiment score, 78-100, bullish. Opportunities to buy the dip could arise if emotional selling occurs around the Sun-Lilith influence on May 27. Overall, this is an excellent time to build positions, particularly in altcoins with strong fundamentals or popular narratives, as well as reinforcing Bitcoin and XRP holdings. Selling should be done selectively, mainly to capture profits if certain assets spike irrationally without underlying support. Meanwhile, traditional safe havens like gold and silver may experience mild outflows as traders shift toward higher-risk assets in response to the new market momentum. The DXY dollar index may show temporary weakness or indecision, further supporting the bullish trend for cryptocurrencies during this period. May 28, 30, 2025, Moon in Cancer. From May 28, 30, 2025, the market sentiment for Bitcoin, XRP, and altcoins is expected to be neutral to cautiously bullish, influenced by the Moon in Cancer, which transits Bitcoin's 12th house. This placement often signals a quieter period, marked by introspective moves, behind-the-scenes preparations, and strategic accumulation. Although emotional volatility may rise under the Cancer moon, aspects like the Sun conjunct Mercury and both Sun and Mercury sextile the ascendant on May 30 create an environment that fosters intellectual clarity and effective communication. These aspects encourage positive news cycles and a renewed alignment among traders, offering potential for growth. However, the Mercury quincunx Lilith on May 29 introduces mixed signals or misinformation, warning traders to stay cautious and avoid reacting emotionally to headlines. The market sentiment score is 65-100, indicating a neutral to lightly bullish outlook. May 29 stands out as a potentially vulnerable period due to the Mercury-Lilith quincunx, which could trigger confusion, unexpected rumors, or hidden actions by market makers. This may cause a brief dip in prices, especially for altcoins. If such dips occur, they are likely to be short-lived, presenting buying opportunities to accumulate Bitcoin and major altcoins before sentiment shifts again. During this period, there will be a shift in risk behavior. On May 29, the risk-off sentiment could dominate, as traders may react emotionally to potential market manipulation or confusing news. However, the mood lightens by May 30, when the Sun-Mercury conjunction and positive aspects to the ascendant encourage a more risk-on approach. This makes it an excellent time for light accumulation of Bitcoin, XRP, and strong altcoins, especially if prices dip temporarily on May 29. It's not ideal to sell during this period unless you're de-risking ahead of potential volatility in June, as it's better to hold or add positions during any pullbacks. Gold and silver may see brief defensive bids on May 29 due to risk-off sentiment but will likely soften again as optimism returns. The DXY dollar index could show minor strength on May 29 but is expected to remain neutral to weak overall, supporting a slightly bullish bias for cryptocurrencies during this period. May 30, 31, 2025, a Moon in Leo. From May 28, 30, 2025, as the Moon transits Cancer, market sentiment for Bitcoin, XRP, and altcoins remains neutral to cautiously bullish. This period encourages introspective moves, with strategic accumulation and behind-the-scenes preparation taking place, particularly in Bitcoin's 12th house. While emotional volatility can rise under the Cancer moon, aspects like the Sun conjunct Mercury and positive alignments with the ascendant on May 30 help foster intellectual clarity and communication, setting the stage for positive news cycles and a renewed alignment among traders. However, the Mercury quincunx Lilith on May 29 suggests mixed signals and potential misinformation, requiring caution before reacting to news. Moving into May 31, 2025, with the Moon in Leo, the sentiment shifts more decisively toward a bullish tone. Leo energy, which brings confidence, courage, and a higher appetite for risk, invigorates the market as the Moon enters Bitcoin's first house of self-expression and visibility. This shift sparks optimism, particularly for Bitcoin and high-profile altcoins, as traders embrace the risk-on mentality following the emotional undertones of the Cancer Moon. The lingering influence of the Sun-Mercury conjunction from May 30 further boosts confidence, fostering decisive moves and clear communication in the market. The market sentiment score for this period is 75/100, indicating a moderately bullish outlook. There is minimal vulnerability, although slight overconfidence could creep in on May 31 if market greed takes hold without solid fundamentals to back it up. As risk-on behavior dominates, any dips are likely to be shallow and quickly bought, making it a favorable time to accumulate Bitcoin, XRP, and strong Layer 1 altcoins that show relative strength. Traders are likely to adopt a buy the rumor mentality, making this a good period for light to moderate buying of cryptocurrencies. Selling is only recommended if taking profits on short-term rallies, otherwise, it's better to ride the momentum into early June. Gold and silver may experience slight underperformance as capital shifts back into risk assets like crypto. The DXY may continue to weaken, supporting bullish momentum in both cryptocurrencies and metals, provided dips remain mild. This concludes our monthly crypto market astrology analysis. Thank you for watching and see you next time.